and welcome back to my channel. I am Stacy and a culinary nutrition expert and mom to two little girls. And on my channel, we talk about healthy living, but in a very doable way so that nobody has to be stressed out about it. And today's video is no different. We are going to be talking about my 7 favorite healthy cookbooks for 2020. The first cookbook I'm going to talk about today is one of my favorites from one of my favorite bloggers slash author, Skinny Taste Books. And this is by Gina. I don't know how to say her last name, but she runs a blog by the same name, Skinny Taste, and she came out with a meal prep book. So if you are looking to up your meal prepping game, this book is for you. Meal plans. Who doesn't love a meal plan? She gives you full meal plan using the book. And then she has some really creative ideas, like this right here are sheet pan pancakes. They're blueberry lemon pancakes. She bakes them on a sheet pan, cuts them into the squares, and you can eat them throughout the week. I'm sure they taste good cold or hot, either way. She even has a section on how to freeze food. Every single recipe tells you how to store it, how long it will last in the freezer and the refrigerator, how to freeze it. Like here, for example, is a freezer to Instant Pot Thai chicken stew with butternut squash. So a lot of her recipes have like an international flavor to them, so they're never boring. And this book is extra special because it has one of my all-time favorite recipes, period, in it. And it's actually, this recipe is on her blog as well, so you can go check it out. But it's her Sicilian rice ball casserole. It's also called an arancini, and I remember there was a place in Tokyo that would make these giant rice balls with cheese, and I think it had beef in there, tomato sauce, and usually some peas. And it's a very decadent, delicious appetizer at many Italian restaurants, and she turned it into a casserole. So it's just rice. You could prep this ahead of time. It reheats amazing. You could eat it all week, and she uses a combination of sausage, and I put in beef. I think she uses all sausage. So you can use sausage, chicken sausage, you can do beef, and then just cheese and peas, and your kids will barely notice the peas. So this is a great one for meal prep. The next one along those same lines is Quick Prep Paleo. This one came out, this is by Mary Smith. It came out a month or 2 ago. I just got it. So to be honest, I haven't cooked through a lot of it, but I already know that I love this book. It's small, paperback. And if you're thinking about doing a Whole30 or a low carb diet, or just want to be healthier, maybe dairy free or grain free, all these recipes obviously are paleo. And what paleo means is no grains, no dairy. They also don't eat legumes, and some other things depending on how strict of a paleo you are. So here's our table of contents, and everything is 15 minutes or less, including sheet pans, 1 skillet, 1 pot meals, Instant Pot meals, kids food, super great for moms, and my favorite, the casserole chapter. So some highlights from this book. Look at this Tuscan shrimp with a sun-dried tomato and spinach sauce, and look, and that's dairy free. I'm sure she uses coconut milk. Does she use coconut milk? She does. She uses coconut milk. Now, if you wanted to use regular milk, or if you wanted to make any of these with dairy, you could totally substitute that. That's an easy swap. Also, if you really want to add some grain, it's easy to add grains in. It's easy to swap out a protein for beans if you still want to eat little legumes. But here we go. Look at you guys. This casserole chapter. Oh my gosh. That is my favorite dip, spinach artichoke dip, and she makes it with chicken. Oh, like sometimes I swear I could just go to a restaurant and just eat that dip for dinner. But she put some chicken in it, so it's a little healthier. And again, that was dairy free. This book is great for weeknights. You could meal prep. There's a lot of soups and casseroles in here, and it seems to be pretty family friendly. This next one is one of my favorite all-time cookbooks, and it was actually released at the end of 2019, so technically it wasn't released this year, but I really just started using it this year. Before this year, it just kind of sat on my shelf. I wish I had started earlier, and that's Cassie Joy Garcia's Cook Once, Eat All Week. I did an entire video on this book showing you how she meals prep because it's really a unique system. And this book is mostly dinners. So she breaks it down. You prep a few key ingredients on the weekend. Then during the week, you put them together in new and different ways every night. She tells you how to break it down for 2 people, 4 people, big families. And a lot of times this makes enough for leftovers, but sometimes you might want a complete meal plan. So she just came out with something called the Cook Once Academy. And of course I signed up, and every month we get tutorials and meal plans. And for signing up before the end of December, she gave us a complete meal plan, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 7 days for 5 whole weeks worth of recipes. And I'm actually making a separate video about that on its own. But if you go to her blog, let's say you're not sure about this style of meal prep, you don't know what I'm talking about, or you're not sure it'll work for your family, her blog, fedandfit.com, I'll link it below. You can go there and get free meal plans. She does some of these weeks for free, and you can download that and try it out and see if you like it. So I won't go into too much detail on that book because you can check out my other video to see all about it. Okay, the next one is another paleo book, and I don't eat paleo, but I just am really drawn to their recipes because I do try to avoid dairy. So this is called Clean Paleo Family Cookbook. This is Ashley McCrary, and I ordered this, I pre-ordered it. It took forever to come in because it was so popular. It just sold out. Before she released it, it was sold out, and then it just took forever to get restocked. Super popular. She writes a blog called Healthy Little Peach, and you guys should follow her on Instagram. She has like the cutest Southern accent, and she's gorgeous. Look at this family. I mean, look at that. And I just feel like she's really down to earth, and her recipes are super, super kid friendly. This is a family cookbook. So she teaches you a lot in here about keeping things simple, meal planning, and basically everything I talk about on this channel. And here, like for example, she has a whole table here of just quick, some of them are recipes in here, but some of them are just quick snack ideas that you can throw together. She shows you what a meal would be like for mommy or mom or dad and the baby. So she breaks it down for you, how you might serve it to your child. Like here she added some fruit. These are pretty much the same. And then here's some kid-friendly plates over here. And then she does a lot of basics. Like here's mayonnaise. You guys, if you haven't tried to make your own mayonnaise, totally should. It's delish. Your own ranch dressing, also so good. And she does a lot of basic staples, then a lot of really great recipes, including things like this. Like this is a Philly cheesesteak stuffed in a bell pepper, so you don't have the carbs. Although she says it's paleo, that is cheese. Oh, no, that is not cheese. Okay, it looks like cheese, but it's actually one of her sauces. So to give it like that, so to make it less dry, she puts the sauce on there. You don't even miss the cheese. I haven't actually tried that one yet, but it's on my list. And then a whole entire chapter on look at her daughter, kid-approved recipes. And they are just so good. She gives you plating ideas. There are mini meatloafs, chicken fingers, fish sticks, all the things that kids traditionally love. And she just cleans them up and makes them a little bit healthier without losing the flavor. The next one is another all-time favorite author of mine came out with a book this year. I'm so excited. I have her first 2 books. This is number 3. And her name is Angela Linden. She writes the Oh She Glows blog, and it's a series of books as well. This is Oh She Glows for Dinner. Her first book was excellent. Her second book was really good too. This book takes it to like a whole nother level. I think this one is on my list to make this week. It's an Italian one-pot buttery tomato, white beans, and farro. So farro is a grain. It's like a barley, like a really hearty rice. I mean, it's much thicker and heartier. And then white beans, probably know what those are. They're white. And she uses sun-dried tomatoes and nutritional yeast, what I like about it is things like nutritional yeast and even sun-dried tomatoes. I don't use those very often. It teaches you to use some of these ingredients. Vegans have some ingredients that they use that other people might not be familiar with. And nutritional yeast is very nutritious for you. And then she has like, here's a speedy 8 ingredient pantry doll. And you can substitute all kinds of vegetables. This is a very forgiving recipe. If you've ever had a dal, it's like one of my favorite Indian dishes. And especially in times like these, when the grocery stores might not be as accessible for some people, you can just use whatever you have or whatever's in season. Super great. That's a great recipe. And, oh, and any of Angela's soups or stews. I mean, look how good this looks. This is a lentil, spiced lentil soup. They're so healing and nourishing, and you really get a lot of, look at all those spices and vegetables. Like this one, of course, has turmeric in it, and tons of lentils. You could use a homemade broth, make it extra, you could use a bone broth and make it extra nutritious. So it's just really beautiful. And she is a self-taught, I believe she's self-taught, food photographer. So the pictures in here, and there's a huge chapter on dessert, are amazing. She also gives you, not to go on and on, but this book is amazing, like meal plans. So if you want to host a book club for this book or whatever book, she gives you a meal plan for that. Girls' night, there's a Halloween, game night, Mother's Day breakfast, etc., etc. And she gives you those special meal plans, but she also gives you some meal prep ideas. She calls them meal plans, but actually it's meal prepping. So she teaches you how to like prep 3 or 4 dinners or lunches and exactly how to store them and how to reheat them, which is great. The next 2 cookbooks that I have are lunch type cookbooks. One is for, they both could be for kids, but this first one, it really is specifically for kids. This is the Little Lunchbox Cookbook by Renee Coley. She is also a Michigander like me. That's where I grew up. And I love her books. She wrote another book. It's called Nourished Beginnings Baby Food. And actually I used it for my toddler and still use some of the soup recipes for myself because they're just that good. She really has a gift for making food from scratch, but it's very approachable. She has a way of making every recipe have a lot of bang for the buck. And this book is solely about lunches. So here's like a mac and cheese she makes with butternut squash, also nutritional yeast. She has a recipe for SpaghettiOs. And then every recipe has a photo, and she kind of gives you ideas on what the lunchbox would look like. Like these are little Sloppy Joe cups. So without all the sugar, she makes these Sloppy Joes in a corn muffin type cup, corn dogs. And then she gives you serving suggestions. And like these are things my kids would eat. Well, they don't love celery, but all these other things are like actually stuff. And of course, one of my favorite recipes were these lightning fast blender batter applesauce muffins. So you can make a whole muffin, and I did a video on this one too. A whole muffin recipe in your blender, super fast. Actually, Sophie did most of the work on that one, I believe. And then you've got a nutritious lunch. Throw it in a lunch box with some breakfast sausage, some cheese, some fruit. And you've got a really tasty and creative lunch. So that's the Little Lunchbox Cookbook. And my last one is also, I think of it as a lunch cookbook, but I guess you could eat these anytime. And that is the Ultimate Bento. And this one, I think, is the newest of all of them. It just came out. But this is so cool, especially having lived in Tokyo for a while. They had an art about, well, they have an art about everything they do there, I swear. But their food is so beautifully presented, just like here on the cover. Like, that's delicious. It's some fried chicken with some sort of sauce, some cabbage, vegetables, and rice. And I love how they just give you like 2 peas and 2 small quartered tomatoes and just a handful of chicken. So their portions are all much smaller. Of course, most things include rice. And this book, they teach you the different types of bento boxes, the art You can get as fancy as you want. They show you how to create things with the food and different accessories. And luckily I still have a lot of that. But then they show you how to pack it so that things don't get soggy and gross in the box. And they're really quite beautiful, actually. And you might be thinking, oh, well, some of that food is weird and my kid might not eat it. But they show you how to make, if you got time for this, I don't know, butterflies and ladybugs and snowflakes and put faces on your eggs. And I don't know, my kid doesn't love egg yolks, but I feel like she would eat that because it's adorable. And then, so that is a fried egg and chicken meatball. And really, from living in Tokyo, the sauces, the Japanese sauces were so good. And a lot of them were full of sugar. So this cookbook in particular is not health focused, but just eating smaller portions, wide variety of food. There's tons of different vegetables in here. Really, I mean, good. Mostly it's chicken, some seafood. It's really lean on its own. It could be really great if you're starting a healthy lifestyle. And I feel like, I mean, these are beautiful. Who wouldn't want to open that up for lunch? So it would work for kids, or if you go to work, even if you wanted a different kind of dinner, this would be a good cookbook. So there you have it, my top, let's see what I got, 7 cookbooks for 2020, specifically healthy cookbooks. Minus, well, I guess they're all healthy in their own way. They all have a different kind of focus. So whether you're vegetarian, you're paleo, you're a busy mom, you want to meal prep, or you want to try different ethnic food, these cookbooks are all excellent additions to your collection. And I know these days a lot of people aren't into cookbooks. I mean, I read them like books. I love them. And there's just something about having the actual book that is so awesome. But you can get them from your library. You can get them on your Kindle. And I think almost all of these have a blog. So you could just go to the blog and try the recipes and see if you even like them. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe got some inspiration to start the new year with some healthy habits.